Students, class 6, Assalamu alaikum. Our today's video is about your Broadway Oxford course book 6. I'll start with the first lesson and start explaining the reading, the meanings and the explanation to you. These books are very good as far as your vocabulary is concerned. Now let's look at page number 9. The first topic is in unit 1 is humor. Humor is muskurahatein, hasna, mazah. Starter. These are photographs of well-known comic actors. Do you know their names? This is Charlie Chaplin. This is Moeen Akhtar and Laurel and Hardy. They're all comedians. Then this is another Pakistani actor. Another one of him. He is Rowan Atkinson. Mr. Bean. She is Lucille Ball. Jamshed Ansari. Rafi Khawa. Match the photographs with the names. Write the correct letter in the blanks below. Moving on to page number 11. First chapter is Frogs in the Fountain. In this story, the author provides a delightful description of a simple incident involving his aunt. Marigolds grow almost everywhere in our beautiful country and they are constantly in demand. Marigolds हैं गेंदा. Constantly हर वक्त. At festivals, marriages, religious ceremonies, arrivals and departures, and functions of all kinds. If you happen to be a guest of honor at a public occasion, be prepared to be smothered in garlands of marigolds. Smothered is covered with. बहुत ज़्यादा डाले जाते हैं. I am a little wary of these welcoming garlands because on one occasion a sleeping bee nestling between the petals flew out and stung me under my chin. It made for a very short speech. When I told young Gohar about this incident, he asked, "Is that how you got your double chin?" Actually, the double chin came from my grandmother, who was a large, generously proportioned lady with a number of chins. Gohar and his sister Sarah liked to play with my double chin, but I would never have dared touch my old granny on her chin or anywhere else. She was a stern, reserved woman who believed that little boys should speak only when spoken to. Now this is very good. This is a very good advice. She fed us reasonably well. She kept a great khansama, but she did not believe in second helpings, with the result that I have spent the rest of my life indulging in second helpings. 2 mutton koftas were all that I was allowed with my plate of rice. I liked koftas, still do, and it was painful for a small boy to have to stop at 2. Now that I am a grown man with an independent source of income, I help myself to 4. Who can stop me? Dr. Beg, who drops in to see me once a year, remarked that I looked overweight and that I should cut down on my food intake. "What did you have for lunch?" he asked. "Kofta curry and rice." "How much rice?" "Just 2 small helpings." "And how many koftas?" "Only 4. Don't have more than 2, he advised. "Yes, Granny," I said. Dr. Beg gave me a puzzled look. "Sorry," I said. "I thought you were my grandmother." Now he thinks I've got Alzheimer's. Talking of marigolds, Granny surrounded her house with them as she believed they kept snakes away. Apparently, snakes do not like their pungent aroma. Aroma is smell. I too believed in this folklore until I was told by an expert on reptiles that snakes do not have a strong sense of smell and would be impervious to the scent of flowers or other odors. They have no sense, not affected by. Maybe so, but I don't recall ever seeing a snake in Granny's garden, although I did see them elsewhere. However, we did have plenty of frogs, thanks to the disused fountain installed by my grandfather, but neglected after his death. The fountain hadn't functioned for a couple of years, but the little reservoir in which it stood had filled up with rainwater and was now covered with water lilies. One day, after an expedition to the canal headwork, I brought home some small fish in a bucket and introduced them to the lily pond. I hadn't paid much attention to the tadpoles swimming around in the bucket. Well, the fish died as they were used to fresh, running water and not stagnant water. Stagnant water, khada pani. But the tadpoles did very well, and before long we had frogs leaping all over the place. Very soon the frogs multiplied. They would come into the veranda at night and keep us awake with their incessant singing and warbling. This is their voice, the sounds that they take out. Singing with rapidly changing notes, incessant, never stopping. "I can't sleep a wink," complained Aunt Mabel. who was sensitive to noise and allergic to choirs made up entirely of bass singers. "They're serenading you," I said. Serenading is singing a song to somebody you love. It was Lori Sunana. It was a long time since anyone had serenaded Aunt Mabel, a confirmed spinster in her early 40s. "They'll go away once the rains finish," said Gran hopefully. But they did not go away. One day, screams came from the bathroom. Aunt Mabel screaming for help. Granny, the Khansama, and I ran to her aid and discovered that the cause of her distress was a large frog swimming around in the pot. I pulled the flush chain. There was a loud gurgling sound, a combination of frog and flush, and out jumped the frog, straight into Aunt Mabel's arms. She left for Lucknow that day, saying she would be safer in a zoo where her cousin was the superintendent. Well, Granny hired some labourers to empty the lily pond and round up as many frogs as they could. They were put into baskets and taken to some mysterious destination. "Perhaps they've been exported to China," I mused, "or even to France. They eat frogs there, don't they?" "Only the legs," said Granny. But they hadn't been exported. The Khansama told me later that the baskets had been opened and dumped near a pond behind the railway station, and before long they were all over the station, waiting rooms and platforms. Until the station master had a brilliant idea. He had the frogs rounded up by a number of street urchins who wanted to make a little pocket money. He then had them packed firmly into several well-ventilated boxes. The crates were labelled "To Lucknow Zoo. Attention Superintendent Sahib," and dispatched as a free gift. "A zoo is the best place for creatures great and small," opined our philosophical station master, who had previously sent them a consignment of stray station dogs. Let's move on to the exercises, page number 15. The writer says he has a double chin because his grandmother had one. It ran in the family. Was the writer fond of food? How can you tell? Yes, we can tell because he was quite chubby and he had a double chin, and then he liked 2 helpings of rice and 4 koftas. Granny surrounded her house with marigolds because she thought the smell would keep the snakes away. Correct option is A. Describe how the frogs entered the fountain and the house. The frogs entered the fountain because they had brought fish, but due to the stagnant water, the fish died and the tadpoles grew into frogs. Where the frogs were finally sent and why? The frogs were finally sent to the Lucknow Zoo because there was no other option. When Aunt Mabel saw the frog in the pot, how did she react? Do you think she was just being silly? No, she reacted rightfully because anyone would be scared of frogs. Pick out 3 sentences from the story that you think are funny. The funniest one is when Aunt Mabel found the frog in the flush, and then the frog jumped out of the flush and into Aunt Mabel's lap. Second one is when the bee stung the writer, and the third one is when the frogs were sent to the zoo. Do you think Aunt Mabel is an odd person? Think of 5 words to describe her. Yes, she's odd, she's strict, and then she is dominating. Moving on to the next page, learn words. Look at the following sentences from the story. Apparently, snakes do not like their pungent aroma. I too believed in this folklore until I was told by an expert on reptiles that snakes do not have a strong sense of smell and would be impervious to the scent of flowers or other odors. The words that are in italics have something in common. They refer to different types of smells. Smells, however, can be pleasant and unpleasant. Stink, stench, odor, pong are all words that are used for unpleasant smells. Aroma, fragrance, perfume, and scent refer to pleasant smells. Complete the following sentences with the appropriate smell word from the list above. I could get the rich aroma of fresh coffee from the kitchen. The residents complained to the municipal authorities about the stench of the garbage dump in their locality. In summer, my garden is filled with the fragrance of jasmine. We use room fresheners to drive away the bad odors from the bathroom. As she walked past, I could smell the perfume she was wearing. Which of these adjectives best describes the smell of the items below? You can use more than one adjective to describe a smell. Herbs in a garden, aromatic. Old socks, stinking or smelly. Rotten eggs, they also stink. A hairdressing salon, sweet smelling or scented or fragrant. A rose garden, fragrant or scented or perfume. Okay, learn pronunciation. Listen to these words. Humor, success, practice, philosophical, garland. When we say them slowly, they sound like this. Humor, success, practice, philosophical, garland. Each part is called a syllable. In each syllable, there is a vowel sound. Humor, success, practice, philosophical, garland. The letters that stand for these vowel sounds are in italics. Here are a few words from the passage. Split each word as in the examples above. Then underline the letters that stand for the vowel sound in each of the words. The first 5 words have 2 syllables each, and the next 5 have 3 syllables each. Garden, helpings, pungent, nestling, opined. Festivals, incessant, consignment, impervious, multiply. Expressing frequency: once, twice, thrice, times, etc. Look at these sentences. Dr. Bake, who drops in to see me once a year, remarked that I looked overweight. Grandfather fired once or twice more in the darkness and then went back to bed. The words once, twice, thrice, times, etc. are used to say how often something happens. Work in pairs. Ask and answer the following questions. How often do you go to the market? I go to the market twice a week. How often do you visit your grandparents? I visit my grandparents once a week. How many times do you brush your teeth every day? I brush my teeth twice every day. How often do you go to the movies? I go to the movies once a week or once in 15 days. How many times did you go on a trip last year? I went twice. How often do you go to the library? I go to the library once a month. Expressing reason using because. Study this example from the story. I am a little wary of these welcoming garlands because on one occasion a slumbering bee nestling between the petals flew out and stung me under my chin. Give reasons for the following. Remember to use because. Climbing K2 is difficult because it's at a very big height. There is ice. The area is very cold and dangerous. Inuits live in igloos. Inuits live in igloos because when they build these igloos, then they become warm inside. The ice outside is colder and the temperature inside is better. Primitive people lived in caves. Primitive people lived in caves because they didn't know how to build homes, and that was the only places that they had already built. We plant trees. We plant trees because plants give us oxygen and they keep the environment clean. Some people wear spectacles. Some people wear spectacles because their eyesight is weak. I hope you liked the lesson. Please like and subscribe our channel, and thank you so much.